Dr. Elijah Reed tightened his harness as the alarms blared, drowning out the robotic voice of the onboard AI shouting warnings about hull integrity. The sleek reconnaissance ship, Celestial Voyager, had entered Alicia's atmosphere at an unstable angle, and the friction of entry had overloaded its shielding systems. Smoke filled the cockpit, and the planet's shimmering turquoise atmosphere distorted the view from his cracked windshield. The mission had been simple: survey Alicia, a newly discovered exoplanet in the Tranquillus system, gather data on its habitability, and return to Earth with the findings. But now, instead of becoming the hero of the Earth Space Agency, Elijah found himself on a one-way descent into the unknown. "Brace for impact," he yelled, as if anyone but himself were aboard to hear it. The ship hit the ground with a deafening crash, skidding across soft golden sand and stopping just shy of a towering crystalline cliff. Elijah felt the world blur around him as the ship's emergency systems deployed a cushioning gel to absorb the shock. Then, silence. He awoke to the sound of waves lapping gently against the shore. Disoriented, he groaned and sat up, the acrid scent of burnt circuitry still sharp in the air. The Celestial Voyager was a twisted hulk of metal, its sleek design now marred by jagged edges and scorch marks. The communications array was completely destroyed, no way to call for help. The realization hit him like a tidal wave: he was stranded. Forcing himself to move, Elijah inventoried what he had left. His EVA suit had survived intact, and a few emergency supplies had been jettisoned with him: a med kit, a few rations, and a multi-tool. It wasn't much, but it was something. The landscape around him was surreal, almost too beautiful to be real. The beach stretched endlessly in both directions, its sand sparkling like crushed gemstones. Beyond it, an ocean of liquid silver reflected the vibrant turquoise sky. Farther inland, towering trees with translucent leaves swayed in a gentle breeze, their trunks glowing faintly as if alive. "This place," Elijah muttered, "is paradise." But paradise was deceptive. The planet was uncharted, and its beauty could hide unknown dangers. He needed shelter and a source of water if he wanted to survive. Dragging his supplies away from the wreckage, Elijah ventured toward the forest. The air was warm and filled with a strange, sweet fragrance, almost intoxicating. As he walked, the translucent leaves above him emitted soft chimes, their tones shifting as he moved beneath them. The planet seemed alive, aware of his presence. Night fell quickly on Alicia, and the sky transformed into a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors. Stars and unfamiliar constellations glimmered, and bioluminescent creatures emerged from the forest, casting an eerie but mesmerizing glow. Elijah set up a makeshift camp and ate one of his rations. Exhaustion claimed him quickly, but his rest was short-lived. Just before dawn, a melodic hum echoed through the air. He opened his eyes to find 3 figures standing at the edge of his camp, silhouetted against the rising sun. They were humanoid in form, but otherworldly in appearance. Their translucent skin shimmered with a pearlescent glow, and their elongated eyes sparkled like gemstones. Flowing garments made of what appeared to be living fabric shifted and sparkled with their every movement. One of them stepped forward and spoke in a language he didn't understand, her voice melodic and soothing. Elijah's hand instinctively went to the multi-tool at his side, but the figures made no threatening gestures. "Wait," he said, raising his hand slowly. "I'm not here to harm anyone." The figure tilted her head, seemingly intrigued. She reached out, her slender fingers brushing against his arm. A sudden warmth enveloped him, and, as if by magic, her words transformed in his mind. "Welcome, traveler," she said, her voice ringing like a soft bell. "I am Lyria. You are not from this world." "No," Elijah replied, stunned. I crashed here. My ship Dash." She placed a hand on his lips, silencing him gently. "There will be time for questions. For now, you are safe. You are among friends." The other 2 figures stepped forward, their gazes filled with curiosity and kindness. Lyria gestured for him to follow them. Exhausted, bewildered, and with no better option, Elijah complied. As they led him deeper into the glowing forest, he realized he was stepping into a world unlike anything he could have imagined. Elisha was not just beautiful, it was alive. And its inhabitants were more than they seemed. The glowing forest seemed to hum with life as Elijah followed the three alien women deeper into its embrace. The translucent trees emitted a soft, soothing light, and the air was fragrant with a mix of floral and citrus notes. Despite the strangeness of his surroundings, Elijah felt an inexplicable calm, as if the planet itself were welcoming him. The three alien women, or maidens as they called themselves, moved gracefully, their movements almost hypnotic. Lyria, the apparent leader, turned to check on him periodically, her sapphire-like eyes radiating warmth. The others introduced themselves as Mina, whose laughter tinkled like wind chimes, and Seraphel, whose quiet demeanor hid a penetrating intelligence. They guided Elijah to a clearing where a crystalline structure stood, glowing faintly under the starlit sky. It wasn't a building in the traditional sense, but seemed to grow organically from the ground, its walls shimmering and shifting like water frozen in time. "This is our haven," Lyria said, gesturing to the structure. "You may rest and heal here." Inside, the walls emitted a soft warmth, and the floors felt like polished stone yet were impossibly soft underfoot. Mina handed him a bowl filled with a liquid that glowed faintly. Elijah hesitated, but the reassuring nods from the maidens convinced him. The drink was sweet and invigorating, erasing the last of his exhaustion and clearing his mind. "How do you speak my language?" he asked, his voice heavy with curiosity. "We do not," Seraphel replied, her voice calm and measured. "The energy of Elisha connects us. It allows understanding beyond words. Your thoughts shape how you hear us." Elijah marveled at the explanation but was quickly overwhelmed by questions. "Why are you here? Are there more of you? What is this planet?" Lyria smiled, a tinge of sadness in her expression. "We are the last of our kind, the guardians of Elisha. Long ago, our people thrived here, living in harmony with the planet's energies. But others came from the stars, as you did, and they sought to exploit what they could not understand." Mina's cheerful demeanor dimmed. "They brought machines and weapons, disrupting the balance. Many of us perished trying to protect Elisha." Seraphel continued, her voice tinged with quiet strength. "When the invaders left, only a few of us remained. We vowed to safeguard Elisha's beauty and ensure that no harm would come to it again." Elijah felt a pang of guilt. He was an uninvited visitor, an intruder on this untouched paradise. "I didn't mean to come here. My ship malfunctioned. I swear I mean no harm." Lyria placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch light yet reassuring. "We know. Elisha has accepted you, otherwise, you would not have survived the crash." The words gave him pause. The planet had accepted him? What did that mean? He looked around at the shimmering structure and the serene faces of the maidens. Everything about this place defied explanation. Over the next few days, the maidens taught Elijah about their world. Elisha was not just a planet but a living entity, a vast network of energy that connected all life within it. The bioluminescent trees were part of this network, their light a physical manifestation of the planet's life force. The rivers and oceans carried nutrients imbued with restorative properties, and the fruits of the land could heal both body and mind. Mina, ever curious, asked him about his world. Elijah shared stories of Earth, its bustling cities, technological marvels, and the curiosity that drove humanity to explore the stars. But he also spoke of its struggles, wars, environmental destruction, and the greed that had driven many species to extinction. Seraphel listened intently, her serene expression unchanging. "Your people are ambitious, yet they do not understand the cost of their actions. This is why Elisha is wary of outsiders." Elijah nodded solemnly. "We've made mistakes. But not all of us are like that. Some of us want to learn, to protect what we discover." Mina grinned, her optimism unshaken. Perhaps you will show us that not all visitors are destroyers. As days turned to weeks, Elijah found himself growing closer to the Maidens. Lyria shared the history of their people, recounting tales of a golden age when their civilization was a beacon of harmony. Mina introduced him to the sensory wonders of the planet, from the taste of rare fruits to the musical vibrations of the forest. Seraphil taught him about the intricate balance of Alicia's ecosystem and how to attune himself to its energy. Elijah was no longer just a guest, he was becoming a part of this world. But as he grew closer to the Maidens, he couldn't ignore the lingering question, how long could he stay here? And what would happen if someone else discovered Alicia? One evening, as the twin moons of Alicia rose over the crystalline horizon, Elijah stood with Lyria by a glowing lake. The water mirrored the starlit sky, and the air was filled with the soft hum of unseen creatures. "You've given me so much," Elijah said. "But I don't know how I can repay you." Lyria's gaze met his, her expression serene yet piercing. "Alicia chose you for a reason, Elijah. Perhaps your purpose here is yet to be revealed." The cryptic words stayed with him as he stared into the shimmering waters. He had come to Alicia by chance, but now it felt like destiny had brought him here. What role would he play in this world of beauty and mystery? And would he ever find his way back home? The passing of time on Alicia was measured not in days or months, but in cycles of the planet's luminous moons and the blooming patterns of its bioluminescent flora. For Elijah, each cycle brought new revelations about the world and his place within it. He grew attuned to Alicia's rhythms, learning its ways from the Maidens. They taught him how to navigate the glowing forests and silver seas, to harvest food from the ever-abundant land without disrupting its delicate balance. He worked alongside them to repair parts of his ship's wreckage, not to leave, but to create tools that could help sustain their lives on the planet. A bond beyond friendship, the bond between Elijah and the Maidens deepened with each passing cycle. Lyria, with her calm wisdom, became his mentor, guiding him through the spiritual and intellectual wonders of Alicia. Mina, with her boundless enthusiasm, became his closest companion, teaching him to find joy in the simplest pleasures. Seraphil, though reserved, shared moments of profound connection with him, revealing a depth of emotion and understanding that transcended words. Through their teachings, Elijah discovered abilities he hadn't believed possible. By meditating in sacred groves, he learned to feel the planet's energy coursing through him, an almost magical connection that heightened his senses and calmed his mind. He found himself able to predict the weather, sense the health of the flora, and even communicate, albeit faintly, with the gentle bioluminescent creatures that roamed the forest. Yet, as fulfilling as his days were, a part of him remained tethered to Earth. At night, when the twin moons painted the sky with silver light, he would gaze at the constellations and think of the life he had left behind. He wondered if anyone on Earth still searched for him. Did his colleagues mourn him, or had he been declared lost and forgotten? Alicia's hidden depths. During one such night, as Elijah sat by a crystalline stream, Seraphil approached him. Without a word, she gestured for him to follow. She led him through the forest to a cavern hidden beneath the roots of an ancient, glowing tree. Inside, the walls pulsed with soft light, and strange symbols danced across the surface as if alive. "This," Seraphil said, her voice echoing softly, "is the heart of Alicia." Elijah felt a wave of energy wash over him, a mixture of awe and reverence. "What is it?" "It is the source of the planet's life force," she explained. "Our people once drew upon its energy to build great cities and shape the land. But that power came at a cost. When the invaders came, they sought to control the heart. In their greed, they disrupted the balance, nearly destroying the planet." He reached out to touch the pulsating wall but hesitated. "Why show me this?" "Because you are different," she said simply. "The heart has accepted you. It feels your intentions, your pain, your hope. It may be the reason you survived the crash." Elijah was overwhelmed. The weight of responsibility settled on him. He wasn't just a visitor, he was now a part of Alicia's destiny. Seasons of joy and loss. Over the next cycles, Elijah worked tirelessly with the Maidens to protect the heart and ensure that Alicia's delicate balance remained intact. He shared his knowledge of Earth's technologies, adapting them in harmony with the planet's natural systems. Together, they created sustainable tools for farming, healing, and shelter, blending the science of Earth with the magic of Alicia. But the passage of time also brought sorrow. The Maidens, while seemingly ageless, bore the scars of their species near extinction. Lyria confided in Elijah one evening as they stood beneath the swaying, luminescent trees. "Our people were not meant to live in isolation," she said, her voice tinged with sadness. "We were once many, united in purpose and love. Now, we are but three." Elijah reached for her hand. "You're not alone anymore. Together, we can rebuild something new." Her gaze softened, and for the first time, Elijah saw tears in her gem-like eyes. "You have brought us hope, Elijah. For that, we are grateful." A lingering shadow. Despite their growing harmony, a shadow loomed over their serenity. Strange occurrences began to disrupt the balance of Alicia, plants withering inexplicably, rivers flowing sluggishly, and the forest growing eerily silent at times. The Maidens were deeply troubled. "The heart is restless," Seraphel said one morning. "It senses something. What could it be?" Elijah asked, worry gnawing at him. "We do not know," Mina replied, her usual cheer dampened. "But Alicia is never wrong." Elijah's thoughts turned to his ship's wreckage. Could the crash have disrupted the planet's energy in ways he hadn't foreseen? Or, worse, had his presence somehow drawn the attention of others from beyond the stars? One evening, as Elijah stood atop a hill overlooking the shimmering ocean, he felt a pang of unease. The beauty of Alicia was still breathtaking, but now it felt fragile, as if hanging by a thread. He resolved to do whatever it took to protect the world that had become his home. Little did he know, the choices he would soon face would test his loyalty, his courage, and the very bond he had formed with the Maidens. The peace of Alicia was about to be shattered, and Elijah would find himself at the center of a struggle that could decide the planet's fate and his own. The morning air was heavy with tension. The once vibrant melodies of Alicia's forests were muted, and the translucent leaves of the trees shimmered with a duller glow. Elijah stood with Lyria, Mina, and Seraphel in a sacred grove near the heart of Alicia, their expressions mirroring his unease. The disturbances had grown worse. Rivers had begun to run dry, the soil felt brittle underfoot, and strange energy fluctuations rippled through the forest. Even the ever-calm Seraphel admitted that something was wrong. And then, it came the sound that shattered the tranquil dawn. A low rumble reverberated across the sky, growing louder with each passing second. Elijah's heart sank as he looked up to see the unmistakable shape of a spacecraft breaking through the atmosphere. "It's them," Lyria whispered, her voice trembling. "The invaders have returned." Elijah's first instinct was denial. It could be a rescue mission. They might not be hostile. But Seraphel shook her head. "Alicia does not react this way to friends. The heart is crying out in warning." As the ship descended, a crackling voice echoed through the air, transmitted via speakers. "Unidentified lifeforms, this is Captain Miles Thatcher of the Earth Space Agency. We come in peace." Elijah's blood ran cold. The ESA had found him. A tense encounter. The spacecraft landed on a barren stretch of land near the forest's edge. Elijah, accompanied by the Maidens, made his way toward the ship, his heart torn between hope and dread. The cargo bay doors opened with a hiss, and a group of uniformed figures emerged, armed but not immediately threatening. "Elijah Reed?" Captain Thatcher stepped forward, his expression a mix of relief and curiosity. "You're alive. We thought we'd lost you." Elijah nodded slowly, glancing back at the Maidens, who stood silently, their luminous forms tense but composed. "I survived. But I didn't expect this." "We picked up your distress beacon," Thatcher explained. "It was faint, but enough to lead us here." This planet. It's incredible. We've already detected significant energy signatures. This could be the breakthrough humanity has been searching for. The words hit Elijah like a blow. He had heard similar sentiments before on Earth, and labs filled with eager scientists and corporate executives who saw the universe not as a marvel to be cherished, but as a resource to be exploited. This planet is not yours to take, Elijah said firmly. It's alive. It's delicate. You can't treat it like just another mining operation. Thatcher raised an eyebrow. We're not here to destroy. We're here to study, to learn. Surely you of all people understand the importance of advancing human knowledge. Before Elijah could respond, Lyria stepped forward, her sapphire eyes blazing. Your kind has visited Alicia before. You brought death and destruction. We will not allow it to happen again. Thatcher frowned, clearly unnerved by the ethereal figure before him. We don't intend harm, but humanity has a right to explore and utilize the resources of the universe. This planet could save billions of lives back home. Elijah's voice rose, his frustration boiling over. Not like this. You don't understand what's at stake. Alicia is more than a planet, it's a living entity. You can't take without giving. Thatcher's patience was wearing thin. Elijah, you've been isolated here for too long. Let us bring you home. You've done your duty. Now step aside. The stand at the heart. Thatcher's team began to deploy equipment, ignoring Elijah's protests and the Maidens' warnings. The disturbance spread rapidly. Trees withered, the once lush grass turned brittle, and the air itself seemed to grow heavy. It's the heart, Seraphil said urgently. They're disrupting its energy. If they continue, Alicia will collapse. Elijah made a decision. We have to protect the heart. The Maidens led him back to the sacred cavern, their movements swift and purposeful. The forest around them grew darker, its glow fading with every step. When they reached the heart, it was pulsing erratically, its light dimming. We can stabilize it, Lyria said, but we will need your help. Elijah nodded, his resolve unshaken. What do I need to do? The heart responds to intention, Seraphil explained. Focus on the connection you've built with Alicia. Let it feel your love and your promise to protect it. Elijah knelt before the heart, placing his hands on its warm, pulsating surface. He closed his eyes, letting the memories of his time on Alicia wash over him, the first taste of its sweet waters, the laughter shared with Mina, the wisdom imparted by Lyria, the quiet strength of Seraphil. He poured his emotions into the heart, a silent vow to guard the world that had become his home. The heart began to stabilize, its light growing brighter. But outside, Thatcher's team had detected the energy spike. They redirected their equipment toward the cavern, their actions threatening to undo Elijah's efforts. Sacrifice and redemption. As the Maidens worked to shield the heart, Mina suddenly collapsed, her glow flickering. The strain. It's too much, she whispered. No! Elijah shouted, his heart breaking. He turned to Lyria and Seraphil. There has to be another way. There is, Lyria said softly. But it will require a great sacrifice. Without hesitation, Elijah stood. Whatever it takes. I'll do it. Lyria's eyes filled with sorrow and pride. You would give your life for Alicia? I already have a life here, he said. And I won't let anyone take it away. Guided by the Maidens, Elijah channeled his energy into the heart, merging his life force with its own. The process was excruciating, but he felt the planet respond, its life force surging and pushing back against the intruders. Outside, Thatcher's team retreated as their equipment malfunctioned, overwhelmed by the sheer power of Alicia. The spacecraft lifted off, leaving the planet untouched. As the heart returned to its steady glow, Elijah collapsed to the ground, barely conscious. The Maidens knelt beside him, their tears shimmering like starlight. You have saved Alicia, Lyria said. But at great cost. Elijah smiled weakly. It was worth it. A new beginning. Elijah awoke days later, weak but alive. The Maidens had used the planet's healing energies to save him, though he was now permanently bound to Alicia. His connection to the heart was stronger than ever, making him a true guardian of the planet. As he stood with the Maidens, watching the twin moons rise, he felt a sense of peace. Earth was a distant memory, but he had found his purpose, a life of harmony and protection on the most beautiful world he had ever known. The stars above reminded him of what he had lost, but the glow of Alicia reminded him of what he had gained. He was no longer just a man, he was a part of something greater, a living testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and the beauty of coexistence.